We usually think of life as a sequence of openings and closings, birth, growth, decline, and death. But what if existence never actually closes? What if everything that appears to begin or end is simply shifting form within a single, continuous field of being? This idea, first articulated 8 centuries ago by the Andalusian philosopher Ibn Arabi, challenges our habitual sense of separation. It also mirrors what modern physics and cognitive science are now discovering: continuity at every scale, from energy that cannot be destroyed to consciousness that persists as background awareness even in deep sleep. In this lecture, we'll explore how Ibn Arabi's metaphysics of al-wujud, being itself, anticipates modern ideas about perception, identity, and the mind-universe relationship. We'll examine what he called the 7 doors of being, dimensions of reality that never truly shut. To begin, let's look at the modern condition that makes this teaching so urgently relevant: contemporary life fragments our sense of continuity. Psychologists describe a phenomenon called attentional myopia, where our focus contracts into rapid, moment-to-moment tasks. Scrolling a phone, switching apps, multitasking at work, each shift interrupts awareness. The self begins to feel like a series of openings and closings rather than a steady flow. Neuroscience shows that such fragmentation weakens the brain's default mode network, the system that sustains narrative identity and meaning. Existential therapists, from Viktor Frankl onward, have argued that this disconnection from being produces what Frankl called the existential vacuum, sense that life no longer coheres. So the question arises, when we feel cut off or empty, has reality itself closed, or only our awareness of it? Ibn Arabi's response is radical: being never closes. It is awareness that narrows. To understand how he reached this insight, we must first know who he was and what he proposed. Born in 1165 in Andalusia, Ibn Arabi was a scholar, metaphysician, and visionary thinker who systematized one of the most profound ontologies in world philosophy. He argued that al-wujud, absolute being, is the only true reality. Everything else is a temporary expression of it. His writings, such as the Meccan revelations, examine how consciousness unfolds through multiple layers of perception. Among his many metaphors is that of the 7 doors of being. These doors are not gates that open and shut, but ever-active dimensions of awareness. Our task is not to force them open, but to recognize that they were never closed in the first place. For Ibn Arabi, being begins with perception itself. Modern neuroscience agrees, even at rest. The brain exhibits continuous background activity in the default mode network, maintaining a baseline sense of self. EEG studies show residual consciousness during sleep and anesthesia. Awareness, then, is not a switch but a constant hum. Ibn Arabi described awareness as the first mirror in which the divine recognizes itself. From a cognitive standpoint, it is the precondition for experience, the open field where sensations and thoughts arise. Everything that appears participates in the single reality of being. Physics gives an elegant analogy. Energy conservation: nothing is created or destroyed, only transformed. Quantum field theory extends this idea further. All particles are vibrations within one universal field. Perceived separation, then, is a perceptual bias. Ibn Arabi would say, multiplicity exists only within the imagination of the observer. Recognizing this unity dissolves the illusion that any door could close at all. We live as though time moves linearly from past to future. Ibn Arabi saw time as cyclical, each instant a new creation. Modern psychology partially supports this through the chronostasis illusion, where rapid eye movements make time seem to pause, revealing how perception constructs continuity. If every moment is freshly generated, existence is a continuous act of renewal. The doors never close because being recreates itself with every heartbeat and breath. The ego imagines itself separate, yet it is only a lens through which being perceives. Contemporary neuroscience portrays the self as a predictive model assembled by the brain from memories and expectations. When this model resists change, anxiety arises, the psychological experience of a door trying to shut. Ibn Arabi taught that the self-door closes only when it forgets its source. Restoring awareness of origin, that the waver and the perceived arise from one reality, opens the flow of identity. Knowledge, for Ibn Arabi, is being knowing itself through forms. In modern cognitive science, predictive processing describes how the mind constantly updates its internal model to match reality. Ignorance occurs when model updating fells a door momentarily sticks. True knowledge eliminates this blockage by aligning thought with reality. When understanding deepens, perception widens. The doors of awareness, self, and existence synchronize. Love is not emotion, but ontological attraction, being drawing itself toward recognition through the diversity of forms. Neuroscientific parallels appear in studies of oxytocin and mirror neuron networks, which facilitates empathy and dissolves self-other boundaries. Every genuine act of care, compassion, or curiosity reactivates our connection to the real love. In this view is the energetic principle that keeps all doors perpetually open. Ibn Arabi's final principle: everything returns to its source because it never left it. The notion of return is paradoxical movement without distance. Physics offers a metaphor. The curvature of space-time guides all trajectories back toward equilibrium. Even entropy tends toward cosmic balance. For Ibn Arabi, joy, suffering, birth, and death are simply different stages of this eternal return. The doors of being never close because there is nowhere outside of being to go. It is crucial to see that these 7 doors are not sequential stages, but modes of awareness operating simultaneously. Ibn Arabi's thought is often labeled mystical, yet it is profoundly logical. His framework parallels systems thinking and even aspects of panpsychism, which holds that consciousness pervades all matter. Being is necessary existence. Manifestation is contingent appearance. There is no real gap between them, only degrees of perception. From a modern standpoint, integrated information theory in consciousness research suggests that awareness is a fundamental property of complex systems. Ibn Arabi's metaphysics, though expressed theologically, points to the same principle. Awareness is not produced by the brain. The brain is one local configuration within universal awareness. Thus, doors do not open and close. Rather, our attentional bandwidth expands or contracts, revealing or concealing aspects of the same continuous reality. How can we translate this philosophy into modern life? Ibn Arabi's framework becomes practical when seen as a training of attention and perspective. Techniques such as mindfulness and controlled breathing reduce overactivity in the default mode network, calming the narrative self and aligning awareness with being. Clinical studies show that 8 weeks of mindfulness practice enhance neural integration and emotional stability when a challenge arises. View it as a manifestation of being rather than a personal threat. This reinterpretation engages the prefrontal cortex, improving emotional regulation. It echoes Ibn Arabi's counsel to see every event as a disclosure of the real. Documenting experiences promotes metawalas, similar to the Sufi exercise of self-observation. Research in positive psychology shows that reflective writing enhances coherence between emotional and cognitive processing, uniting the doors of knowledge, self, and love. Systems, science, and ecology confirm Ibn Arabi's vision that nothing exists in isolation. Recognizing interdependence fosters ethical awareness and environmental responsibility. When you see every form as part of the same continuum of being, compassion becomes rational, not sentimental. The overall psychological effect is continuity, a stable sense of presence that persists through change, loss, or uncertainty. To realize that the doors of being never close is to experience life as an uninterrupted field of meaning. The 7 doors are continuous dimensions of awareness, existence, time, self-knowledge, love, and return. They represent the structure of reality as Ibn Arabi perceived it, an open system with no true boundaries in rational terms. Existence is a self-organizing continuum. In experiential terms, it is the realization that there is no outside of being. You are not a traveler moving through closed thresholds. You are the thresholds themselves, perpetually revealing the real. Ibn Arabi's metaphysics invites neither escapism nor blind faith, but a disciplined recognition that consciousness, matter, and meaning are facets of one process. Modern science, slowly and cautiously, is beginning to echo his intuition that the universe does not begin and end. It remembers itself through every pattern of energy, thought, and life. When that understanding settles, the illusion of separation dissolves. The doors of being, as he said, were never closed. We simply had our eyes shut.